My father, uncles, they developed, they were in real estate, and so during, when I was younger, I worked, even though when I was as young as 11 years old, I worked in construction and kind of, got a little bit accustomed to, being on construction sites and so forth. But, I got my degree in 1991. I had a urban planning and architecture and also a finance degree. And once I had the degree, I, started developing a track record. And then probably by the mid-90s, I started building a company. Building some infrastructure, building a company, and I'd say probably towards the end of the 90s, I had 8 or 9 active projects at a time, and just kept building. And I built, a multitude of products, all the way from single-family homes to apartments to, I went to mid-rise and then high-rise. And by 2005, I broke ground on Paramount Bay, which was a 50-story high-rise, and so just kept building my track record from there. Of course, took a little hiatus of developing during the recession, but besides that, I've been developing now for about 28 years. Besides Paramount, well, Paramount Miami Worldcenter is probably you would say, my favorite project, if you want to put it that way, only because it has a lot of the intricate, creative ideas that you kind of carry in your, kind of in your back pocket, and you got to use a lot of them in this one building. So we did a lot of really cool, cool amenities, cool features of this building, all the way from the architectural design to being involved in a major mixed-use project like Miami Worldcenter. That was really where I would say is my favorite. What was my second favorite? I'd have to say Paramount Bay. That was a really cool project. It was on the bay. We created this beautiful courtyard in front of the building. So we took some of our experiences in urban planning, developed great ground floor, great entry feature, retail, ground floor retail, commercial office. Again, very cool mixed-use project. And in that one, we introduced the Paramount brand, which was private elevators, 10-foot ceilings, all glass, larger balconies. And we set a precedent. That was a project that at the time when we launched it, when I was contemplating it in 2005, I was told, you're going to do a luxury project in Edgewater. Everybody thought that was a little outrageous. Edgewater was a neighborhood that was transitioning, and so we feel that Paramount Bay was kind of the catalyst to transitioning the neighborhood into what was really looked at as an apartment slash, lower price point product, into this neighborhood can actually absorb, high-end, luxury product. And so we were the first to actually do that. And, that building, again, has just a lot of really cool features, the way it steps up, and it has this dome and really, intrinsic architecture, and we rounded it off to maximize views, and so it was a really fun project. It's a combination of a lot of meetings, combined with, I don't know, if I'm going from a meeting to someone on my staff that's trying to get my attention, to trying to catch up on some emails and communications, to people texting me. I just heard my text go off 3 times since this interview now. And then just trying to wrap up the day. I do have structure. We start off Monday very structured with staff meetings and getting the week organized, but then the rest of the week is really just, trying to get through meetings and just dealing with, issues that arise and everything else. And then development, there's always something that's coming up. I'm the lead developer, and they're my partners in the project, and of course they're the overall master developers of Miami Worldcenter, and so it's been a great relationship. We actually built the Paramount in Fort Lauderdale as well. We worked on that project, so everybody had a certain level of contribution. Art really was the one that was able to assemble. As a matter of fact, so what happened was I initially was assembling a lot of the parcels of Miami Worldcenter. I assembled about 30% of it, and I've known Art since the mid-90s. We go way back. And at the time, this was in the early 2000s, probably around 05, 06, Art says, look, I'm assembling, you're assembling, why don't we just combine it? And so I eventually started selling my parcels to Art so he can consolidate it. And, you know, he did a great job in the recession, restructuring and recapitalizing. And we always kind of had the concept that we would develop it. And so Art was able to put that together, kind of create the vision for Miami Worldcenter, which is, you know, now what's considered the second largest, you know, urban plan development in the country. And then, you know, Nitin, who was at the time working with Art and who I knew as well, because we all worked together even back then, you know, Nitin just had incredible relationships and, you know, probably the right personality to really handle the, what I would say, numerous obstacles that, you know, they faced in Miami Worldcenter. But then even when we worked on Paramount together, you know, not easy to put a 60-story tower together with all the mixed uses and all the components that go into it. And so I think, you know, us putting all our heads together and using our various talents really is what worked. And, you know, we really complemented each other. You know, my specialty was, of course, the overall development of the project, the branding, the positioning, you know, all the way through development. You know, they helped a lot on, you know, helping putting, you know, it was a very highly capitalized project, and so there was a lot of assistance and, you know, with their relationships and their backgrounds, and I think combined together, we covered all the disciplines very well. Look, when you live probably through the worst recession of modern times, you always have doubts because you've seen kind of the worst, and so what I think that's really becomes more of a learning experience. And so because you've seen probably, I don't know if the worst, but let's say modern times the worst. I know probably the Great Depression was worse than that. But what it does is it teaches you to be very careful. And so when the market got very heated again in 2015, the condo market was doing very well. What I did because of my experience is I said, well, let me plan, because I'm going to be delivering this in a different market than when I'm starting out. And so the way I planned the project was to put a strategy together that gets us through the entire process, not just through a good market. What happens when the market starts to turn or starts to, and sure enough, the market did soften by sometime in 2016, but by that point, you know, we got a lot of traction, and by preparing for what I knew would eventually become a different market than what I launched into, I was able to, at that time, I was saying, look, let's put a lot of effort into this project. So what we did is we created something that can never be created again. So even though you can say, well, there could be a lot of units available in the market, but there's no unit that compares to what Paramount could offer. It doesn't have the lifestyle. You know, we have 46 different amenities. You know, we give access to the roof of the building to everybody living in the building, so everybody gets the penthouse view. So there's just certain features. We have almost 4 acres of amenity deck. So you have a resort-style pool. I mean, go look at any other building in Miami. Their pools, you know, really small, and, you know, urban projects are tough to fit. We have, you know, 3 pools on our resort deck, 2 pools on the roof. I mean, this is a resort lifestyle, and so because of planning for what that was, we're still able to sell in a softer market because we're providing a very unique product that can never be replicated again in the city of Miami.